Hi, I'm Stephanie, and today I am going through my makeup audition box. This is basically a box of things that have been decluttered to me, or they're things that I have been testing, or things I've received in PR. And I want to clear this box out because I don't like to keep makeup that I don't think I'll genuinely wear. I'd like to give it away to people who I think will wear it, and I am going to leave on a trip to visit some family in just a couple of hours. So I need to really speed through this, but I wanted to try to do it with you because I thought it would be more fun to do it together. So let's jump right in. We'll start with a couple things I received in PR from R.E.M. Beauty. I got the Sweetener foundation, which is very matte and very full coverage, and I have a video where I actually apply it, and I'll link that here in case you'd like to see more on it. But my general thoughts on this are that it is just not made for me. My favorite foundation of all time is Estée Lauder Double Wear, which is matte and full coverage, so you'd think this would be right up my alley, but the Double Wear foundation just feels a lot more flexible to me. This one could only be applied with a wet sponge. If I tried any other application method, my fingers, any of the brushes that I have, it never really looked great. It always kind of gathered in my pores and looked really streaky. It looked fine with a sponge, but that was the only way I could apply it. And I tried mixing it with a couple of things and it was okay, but it never really looked the way I wanted it to. I prefer a skin-like finish. I want my makeup to look as natural as possible. And you'd think I wouldn't like that with Estée Lauder Double Wear being my favorite foundation, but you can really thin that out if you want to. You can almost make it into a skin tint. This one I felt that was just really difficult to do. I feel like this is a foundation that knows what it wants. It wants to be matte and it wants to be full coverage and it wants to be applied with a wet sponge. So if that's your thing, this might be for you, but I like to apply my foundation in many different ways and this didn't give me that option. So I'm going to be passing this along to someone who might enjoy it more. But then I tried the Eclipse blush and lipstick in the shade Audition, and I have to say this was much more up my alley. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this for myself. I'm just going to depot some of this and put it in a separate palette, and then I'm going to give most of this away because I did enjoy the color, I did enjoy the formula, but I have enough cream blush for myself, and I think it would be nice just to have a little bit so that I could play with it a little bit more, compare it with some other brands maybe, but I think I'm going to give this away to someone in the way that I'm going to depot it. It's still going to look very nice, so I think they're going to enjoy it. Right now, I always scrape it off the top, so I think when I depot it, it's actually going to look better than it does now. So I'll keep a little bit for me and pass a little bit on. They also sent me 3 of their liquid eyeshadows, and one of them, the shade Comet, is a very refined formula with very tiny sparkly particles. And this one, as you can already probably tell, is a color that I just really, really enjoy. And I also really enjoyed the refined finish of the smaller sparkles. So I think I want to keep this one for myself. The other 2 have larger sparkle particles. These are really more glittery eyeshadows, but they're also beautiful. The only thing is, I know for a fact that my mother is looking for an eyeshadow exactly like this. She wanted kind of a silvery color, but this isn't so bright that it's going to be really distracting. So I think she's going to really enjoy this because she wants a very glittery shadow. She wants it to be silver, but she doesn't want it to be so stark that it's just going to draw every eye in the room immediately to her. So I think this is going to be the ideal color for her. So even though I would keep it and use it for myself, I think she'll enjoy it even more. And they also sent me the shade Muse, which is their brownie bronze color. And so the base is brown, but the sparkles in here are golden and silver and magenta. So it's a very interesting shade, and I think it actually combines really well with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if someone in my family wants this. And if they do want it, I will give it to them. But if they don't, I'm going to take it back because these 2 always made a very good combination. And they were also kind enough to send me 1 shade of their lip gloss. This is the color Shirley. And if you know me, you might be looking at this thinking, oh, I don't know if that's too bright for her. And you're right, it is pretty bright, but it does sheer out really nicely on the lips. And I feel like it turned my lips into a wearable coral shade, which I was very happy about because I've been looking for something like that for the summer for a while. And I think this might be it. So I'm going to keep this one. Surprise, surprise. It is what I would say a standard gloss. There's no lip plumping, which is something that I like. I don't want a lip plumper because my lips are very sensitive. So this is just a very easy gloss to wear, but there's also nothing particularly standout about the formula. It just makes your lips look juicy, like a good gloss. So it's one of those things where if you are looking for a certain color and they happen to have it, then it might be one to try. And R.E.M was also kind enough to send me their Dream Glow Highlight Serum in the shade Quartz. And take a look at this. It's in a heavy glass bottle. The liquid inside looks almost magical. It looks gorgeous. This was the thing I was most excited to try out of the whole shebang. And I put it on my face, I tapped it onto my cheeks, and it turned into a glittery mess. I was so disappointed because I feel like this had so much promise. Unfortunately, this one just is not for me at all, and it is definitely getting passed on. And the brand About Face was also kind enough to send me a couple of items. And once again, I applied all of them in a video, so I will link that for you in the show notes. We'll begin by talking about the powder. This is a gorgeous powder. It's blurring, it gives a soft finish, it is really, truly beautiful. And it reminds me of my Givenchy Prisme Libre, the one that was discontinued. And I was so excited when I first tried it because it looks so nice. The only thing that it doesn't do for me is hold my makeup in place. It's beautiful when I'm setting my makeup so that if I have any cream products down, I can then very smoothly apply some powder products over it. But I was testing this in the summer and in the warmer weather, and unfortunately during that time of year, my skin would be pretty shiny about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes later at the latest. So this didn't have a whole lot of hold for me, but I am not going to give it away quite yet because what I'd like to do is try it in the winter just to see how it holds up when my skin is a little bit drier. So this one's actually going to stay in the testing box for a little bit longer just because I want to see how it performs during the winter. They also sent me the Performer foundation, which I thought had a nice finish, so it performed pretty well. My one issue with this is that, once again, it only really worked for me when I applied it with a wet sponge. When I used a brush, it was always a little bit streaky, and when I used my fingers, it didn't ever sit quite right on my skin, but it did look beautiful when I applied it with a wet sponge. My only issue with that method is that I don't always have easy access to a sink when I'm applying foundation, so sometimes a wet sponge just isn't really possible. So because of that, I'm not sure that this foundation is for me, but if you like a dewy finish that's easy to wear, that's medium to light coverage, this foundation might be for you. It's just a little bit too finicky for me. About Face also sent me their 1993 mascara, which I did like, but I talked about it in several videos because I applied it in several Get Ready With Me's, and it is now expired. I used it up, and I enjoyed it while I had it, but I won't be repurchasing it because it just wasn't for me. The look was very structured, like the lashes were lengthened, they were thickened, they were defined, which I thought looked really nice, but they were also like almost very spiky, which is a look some people really like, but I tend to like a lighter, fluffier, softer look. So that one wasn't for me, but I do think it's good quality. And then last but not least, they also sent me a lipstick. This is their Blurred Matte Lip Plump. And I do not like lip plumpers because they just hurt my lips. But this one wasn't strong enough to hurt my lips. I don't think it was strong enough to plump them either, but the blurred finish of this looks so good, and the color of it is so nice that I'm really tempted to keep it. The only thing is, I'm worried that if I were to wear it regularly, which is what I want to do because I really like the color and I really like the finish, I'm just worried that my lips would become too sensitive. So when I used this, I only used it with a separate applicator. So this is actually still a brand new, fresh product. So I think I'm going to give it away to someone with less sensitive lips, and then I can admire it on them instead. And I received a lipstick from Unearthly Cosmetics. This is in the shade Bloodstone, and this I think is really cool. It's a red lipstick, something that I do sometimes wear on stage, but it's not just a red lipstick. It is a glittery red. It's almost a metallic, but I am normally really hesitant when it comes to glittery metallic lipsticks because I feel like they can really emphasize lip texture. But this one, I have to admit, once I saw the hand swatch, I had to try it on my lips, and it really did look impactful. I really liked it. I'd really like to experiment more with this. And if you watch my upcoming lipstick declutter, then you'll see I have space for this. So I would at least like to try it and see what kind of looks I can create with it. This Urban Decay 24/7 eye pencil was decluttered to me from a friend, and I really do like these pencils in general. I really like the range of colors that they have, but I think that this one might be a little bit too cool gray for me. I have a warmer gray that's called Mushroom, I believe, and it's the same depth, but it's just a little bit warmer. So I feel like it suits my skin tone a little bit better. It's not quite as stark on me. So I think I'm going to give this to a friend of mine who is cool toned because I think she'll get a lot more use out of it. This sample of the Sensai Absolute Silk Illuminative Cream was given to me by a store employee because I was looking for a primer. And she said, "Oh, I've got one for you. This is actually a daytime and nighttime moisturizer, but it looks beautiful under makeup, so you should definitely try this." And the sample size was very generous, so I was very happy to try it. And I have to say, it was a nice moisturizer. It felt very nice on the skin, but I don't really feel like it made that much of a difference when it came to my makeup. It was a little bit easier to apply some of my drier formulas, like the Estée Lauder Double Wear, over this evenly, but I don't feel like it ultimately affected the finish of any of the products. It didn't make my pores look any smoother, or it didn't make anything look more refined. It was simply a good moisturizer underneath makeup. It did, however, irritate my rosacea. So even though it felt nice on the skin, my skin didn't react well to it. So unfortunately, this one isn't for me, but everybody who has rosacea is triggered by different things. So just because it was irritating to me doesn't necessarily it will be irritating to someone else. This lip ink semi-permanent lip color was given to me by a friend, and I am too intimidated to use it. It is semi-permanent, and you need to use like a specific remover to get it off your lips. And my lips being as sensitive as they are, I just feel like this is too big of a risk for me. So I'm gonna pass this set on to someone else who's a little braver than I am. This Moira Lucent Cream Shadow in the shade 10 Jupiter was given to me, and oh my gosh, is this pretty. It's almost like a wet look shadow with all this iridescence. And it is really, really pretty. The one problem is it really does not stay put on my eyelids. I really wish it did because it is gorgeous. It's almost like a wet look. It reminds me, like, I don't know, of a more yin feminine version of Space Cowboy, because it's got kind of a warmish base, but it has these like blue and purple sparkles in it that make it look almost fairy-like. It is so pretty that it can't just sit here just to be swatched by me, because it's the sort of thing I would reach into a box to swatch all the time. But if it's not going to stay on my eyes, then I'm probably not going to get much use out of it. So I think I am going to pass this on, but I have very oily, hooded, deep set eyes. And so in my case, it's very difficult for me to wear a lot of shadows anyway, because they all get creasy. And so the fact that this is a cream shadow probably doesn't help. If you have a different eye shape, if you have a different skin type than me, it might work very differently for you. In fact, I think I've heard, is it Jen Phelps maybe? I heard someone talking about these, or was it, maybe it was Amanda Z. I don't even know. All I know is that I've heard of these Moira cream shadows before, and people speak very highly of them. So just because they don't work for me doesn't mean they're not going to work for everybody. The brand EADEM was kind enough to send me a package with 2 of their products, and I've actually talked about them before because I got them a while ago. The Smooth Slate Ingrown Relief Serum I was trying because I had some ingrown hairs, and I have to say it did work for that. I did like using the product because I liked the way it smelled, and I liked that it worked. It was effective, but what I didn't like about it was the application method, because number one, you have to put it onto your skin at night preferably, and you can't be wearing any deodorant or anything, which means you have to kind of, wash up before you apply this. And I tend to shower in the morning, but that meant I would have to wash up again at night before I put this on. And so that process was just a little bit tedious for me. But in that video where I was discussing the experience of using this product, someone in the comments wrote, "Why don't you just try using a salicylic acid body wash? That would have the same effect." And so I was like, I just bought one of those. And so I started using it and I paid attention and it worked just as well as this did. So this is one of those things where I feel like if you, for some reason, are too sensitive and you can't use a salicylic acid body wash, this might be the product that could help. But the body wash is more effective. So that's the option I'm going to choose. And this is going to be moving on out. And they were also kind enough to send me their very popular Chou lip softening balm. I have heard a lot of people compare this to the old Bite Beauty Agave lip mask that so many of us used to love so much. And I can see why, because this has a very similar feel on the lips. It feels very moisturizing and comfortable and kind of thick, which is just nice. It's like cushiony. So I can see why a lot of people like this so much. And I initially did like it too, but this is the sort of product, if I apply it once in the morning while I'm getting ready, then it does have that lip softening effect. But I'm the sort of person who likes to put lip balm on throughout the day repeatedly because my lips usually, they're pretty sensitive, so they can feel kind of dry and irritated sometimes. So I just really like to have a balm around to soothe them. And when I do that with this balm, I find that the problem gets worse. And I think it's because I have a little bit of a sensitivity to the lactic acid in here. I think that's the ingredient that feels so softening on the lips. So I think that it's a good move. I just think it's maybe not made for people with extra sensitive lip skin like me. So this one's moving on out as well. And I also received this Sigma Ritzy eyeshadow palette in PR. And I have to say, I really like this. Probably because it's dirt colored dirt, but it's also really good dirt colored dirt. Look at this. Look at this color. Can you see how sparkly that is? It's so pretty. The one thing I don't like about this palette is that they have a matte with sparkles in here. Who would put a matte with sparkles in a palette? Not me, that's for sure. So that's the one downside to this palette, but I have to admit, it's a small downside, especially since that sort of deep shade like that, I'm probably only ever going to use at the very outer corner, so I can probably ignore the sparkles in there. But I have to say, the rest of the formulas in here so far have been working really well, and this is definitely going to stick around for a little bit because it is impressing me. Plus, it is really lightweight. It doesn't have a mirror inside, which means it's really easy to travel with, which I think is a big plus for me. And the brand by Nacht was also kind enough to send me their High Moon Firming Décolleté Gel, along with their Perfect Nacht Sleeping Oil. I'm almost done with the Décolleté Gel now, and I don't see any firming, so I'm not sure that that claim really holds up, but it is moisturizing. I put this on at night before I go to bed, and I wake up and I do feel like the lines are a little bit less pronounced just because my skin is a little bit more hydrated. So this, I would say, is more like of a hydrating gel, and it's very pleasant to use. It's pleasant to smell, but of course, these are made with essential oils. That's like the whole thing behind the company, is that they're very into essential oils and skincare that is also aromatherapy. So if you are not into that, steer clear of these. But if you do like that sort of thing and you like the smell of essential oils, then it's actually pretty pleasant. The Perfect Nacht Sleeping Oil, I haven't been putting on my face because I have rosacea and I feel like that might be a little bit too much of a trigger, but I have been using it on my hands because this does feel very relaxing to use. It's almost like you're visiting a spa, and my hands get dry, especially this time of year. So I have been using it for that. The one issue that I have with this particular one is that the packaging is so nice and heavy. This is glass. It feels very luxurious. The only problem is I'm not sure that this is the best component. It has a pump for the oil, and I'm not exactly sure this is the best component because I do feel that the oil sometimes leaks out of here and then it gets on the bottle, and you do not want to have a slippery glass bottle on a tile floor in the bathroom. So I have to be very careful when I use this, but I do have to say I enjoy the smell of it. I have a little bit of them on my hands right now, and it feels like a very luxurious spa experience. So if you're looking for that sort of thing, this is that. Well, this box is feeling a lot lighter now, and I have quite a few goodies to give to friends and family while I'm home, and that feels pretty good. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while I got my discombobulated thoughts together. here. I have some more packing to do, so I've got to run, but I just want to say thanks for hanging out, and to all of my patrons and channel members, including my Adagio angels, for making content like this possible. I hope we can all remember that even stumbling can be a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.